Scientists in the U.S. and Switzerland have announced an amazing revelation that backs the biblical story of Adam and Eve. Researchers say a new study shows all modern humans are descended from a common father and mother who appeared on the scene 100 to 200,000 years ago after a cataclysmic event almost wiped out the human race. In an interview on Fox and Friends, Dr. Robert Jeffress, pastor of First Baptist Church of Dallas, said the scientists, however, are still not fully embracing the Genesis account of creation.
We know from the Bible that, in fact, we do have a common father and mother, Adam and Eve, who are not the result of tadpole mutations, but of divine creation, and that all life is the result not of a big bang, but of a big God. You know, it takes more faith to believe in the evolutionist theory of the origin of life than the biblical creation account.
And you can see more on this story at cbnnews.com.
Well, scientists have been studying the field of what's called epigenetics for the last 5 to 10 years. And one of their key discoveries is that we can turn certain genes on and off. What's more, these changes can be passed down through generations. That's something we read about in the Bible. Here is Lori Johnson with a story.
Like millions of Americans, Ashley Skidmore joined the trend of taking at-home DNA tests.
All of my friends were doing just the ancestry test, and I just decided on a whim to throw in the health section.
The results indicated Ashley inherited a gene that often leads to lung disease.
I took the results to my doctor, and my doctor was very alarmed by the results, and I had no idea what it even was.
The good news, thanks to the new science of epigenetics, there's hope for Ashley and others. DNA is not our destiny, because even if we inherited some genes we'd rather not have, epigenetics tells us we can turn them off. In his book, Change Your Genes, Change Your Life, Dr. Kenneth Pelletier says we control our genes, not the other way around.
How we live our lives and how we influence the expression of our genes, that's what's critical. So it gives us the responsibility and gives us the power to influence our life direction.
He says bad genes are activated by bad behavior. In Ashley's case, smoking turns on her problem gene.
That's what makes the gene express itself. But if you know you have it, then you can not smoke and you'll avoid the consequences.
It gives me hope that I can silence it. But if I were a smoker, it's basically my life expectancy is 50 years old.
Epi means on top of. Our epigenome is like flexible software on top of our genome, which is like fixed hardware. Our behavior controls the epigenome, which in turn controls the genes.
We are, in effect, a programmable computer. That's how we were made.
Equally fascinating, researcher Dr. Randy Jertle proved epigenetic changes don't just stop with us. For better or worse, these gene manipulators can actually be passed down to future generations, backing up the biblical warning written thousands of years ago.
You can see that, in effect, what God, I think, was telling us is that since they're not totally erased necessarily from generation to generation as they go through the egg and the sperm, can literally give rise to problems in the next generation, and the following out the 4 and 5 generations.
When Dr. Jertle fed healthy nutrients to pregnant mice, which carried a gene for obesity and jaundice, her offspring were born thin and brown.
There are these transgenerational changes that take place.
Dr. Pelletier believes similar scenarios play out in human beings.
So the good news, if you make a healthy change, it'll be transmitted through your generations. If you make an unhealthy change, it will also influence subsequent generations. I mean, this is a whole fascinating new technology.
So while we can't control the genetic hand we're dealt, the new science of epigenetics tells us we can control how these genes behave in ourselves and our offspring.
To see more of Lori Johnson's medical reports, just go to our website, cbnnews.com. We'll be right back.